Please join me in welcoming Mayor Tom Richards.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, the members of the dais here. It's great to be here. You know, as the senator was talking, it reminded me that actually I got a scholarship too when I got out of college to travel around the world, all expenses paid. It was called the U.S. Navy, but I took it. Unlike the senator, or maybe I should say it took me. In any case, I went. Every time that I get introduced here with that list of jobs I've had, I begin to wonder whether you're going to think I'm one of those guys who can't keep a job. But I'm probably more typical of you than most people my age. I have had a number of different jobs, and as I stand here today, I can't remember ever anticipating, quite frankly, any of them. Certainly not the one I have now. So maybe I'm more typical of what the world will be like for you. And believe me, it's a wonderful world. It's a wonderful set of experiences to have. Things that you didn't ever anticipate can come to you. So I'm honored to have this opportunity to be here, to be part of this ceremony that's so important to all the people in this room. And I'm particularly pleased to do it because you're downtown in Rochester. You're along the Genesee River out here, which, and the High Falls is not far away. That's why this city was founded. That's what made it. And you are beside the place where the Erie Canal just ran right through town, right out in the back here. And the bridge over here was the aqueduct that carried that canal across the river. The canal made this place a boom town in the 1800s. Well, we're a different city today. We have different challenges and opportunities, but you are in the cradle of our history here and the center from which we are building a new history. And you too are about to face new challenges and opportunities. So this is symbolically a great place, a good place, for you to launch the new chapter in your history. Now, as I look out in the audience here, I see the result of a lot of hard work and determination, some of it on the part of the people who are graduating, but a lot of it on the part of the people who are here to share it with them. And I can imagine what's in the minds of the graduates as they sit out there, what swirls through those minds. They're thinking to themselves, I did it. I finally did it. And if this guy would just sit down and be quiet, I will get my hands on my diploma. I got it. Not quite yet, but I'll keep it in mind as I go through this. I'll keep it in mind. You came to this place from many directions. However, you have in common that each of you, and often those who supported you around here, decided that you'd make an investment in your education, an investment of time, treasure, and intellectual effort. I suspect it wasn't easy. It's not supposed to be. Education, when properly done, is one of those investments that is internal and personal to the individual. While simply claiming the degree may help in some ways, it is supposed to represent something about you, about who you are, about what you can be. At best, beyond the specific knowledge that you acquire, an education equips you to think about and understand the community of which you are a part. It equips you to be informed, actively engaged citizens of that community. And wherever you go from here, I can assure you that you will be in a community that needs such citizens. You chose to earn your degree at a place, Nazareth College, that does not intend to let you or your education stay here. You chose, as reflected by the college's mission statement, a learning community that fosters a commitment to a life, not just an education, informed by intellectual, ethical, spiritual, and aesthetic values, not only to develop skills necessary for the pursuit of meaningful careers, but to inspire dedication to the ideal of service to your communities. The college's vision includes the aspiration of an education that places special value on making a difference in local and global communities. and the President referred to it in his address. The difference that your education has equipped you to make presumes you are an informed and active, engaged citizen in a context that's much greater than your personal achievements. It is to occur in a community, and it is that emphasis on community that I would like to address. My message, my expectation is that you will use your education to make a difference as an informed and actively engaged citizen in whatever community you go to after this ceremony. I do not mean to suggest that you have to be the one who cures some dreadful disease, although that would be wonderful, or that you have to live in a settlement house dedicated to the less fortunate, although that would be good. I do mean that you should be actively engaged citizens in the many ways, large and small, as there are of you, wherever life should take you. This may seem to place somewhat of an unusual burden on you. I mean to do exactly that, and I believe that it's fairly placed. When you receive your degree today, as many have said, you will be among the more fortunate in our society. In the city that you're now sitting in, far too few graduate from high school, and even fewer from college. Each of you are among the fortunate, the chosen in our society. I cannot know how you will meet this expectation, and it's likely you do not know either. You may not even know until after you've done so. It's not expected that you know how, only that you are educated to accept the responsibility, to recognize the opportunity, and to respond to it as informed and actively engaged citizens. I'd like to illustrate what I'm talking about here from my own experience as mayor of Rochester. As many of you know, Rochester is a mid-sized city of about 210,000 people. Over the past 30 years, with the flight to the suburbs, some to Pittsford, where Nazareth is located, the relatively static population in the Northeast and the change in our economic circumstances, the city has declined from over 300,000 people. We are a city that is unusually rich in cultural opportunities, good places to live, and we're surrounded by successful colleges and universities, of which Nazareth is a fine example. We are fortunate in many respects. However, amid this good fortune, we are bedeviled by a high concentration of poverty and a poorly performing public school system. Those are aspects of urban life that are not unique to us, but they are particularly intense in our city. They are complicated issues with many causes, explanations, theories, cures, and considerable dispute about it all. They present themselves not only in terms of poverty, but in terms of race, social standards, crime, and violence. I do not intend to or claim to be able to resolve all of this, but I would like to point out two phenomena that shape the circumstances in which our community finds itself. Now, my approach to this is deliberately simplistic from my own personal experience, without any claim to academic support or research. I realize it's a very dangerous thing to do, given who's looking at me in the front row here, but I'm going to do it anyway. My point here is to illustrate my expectation of the graduates, not to prove my theory. Urban poverty is not new. It's been with us as long as cities have existed. However, while not consistently true throughout our history, part of the ethos of our country has been that urban areas were places that presented the opportunity to rise out of poverty, to improve your lot in life and that of your family, and certainly of your children. Those opportunities presented themselves in many ways, but most recently, for me, I think they took two forms. The first was the availability of industrial employment. For various reasons, the urban areas were the places where the factories were. They provided jobs for people with a willingness to work, but limited education and skills. It was far from easy work, but particularly in the middle and latter half of the 20th century, we could provide provided a decent living that was sufficient to provide stable families, and those stable families provided stable neighborhoods. This provided a base from which the children could acquire education and skills and improved their chances in life. And this led directly to the second phenomenon: broadly available, quality, public urban education. Now, it would be very easy to overstate the historical quality of urban education, but there's no doubt that it provided an opportunity to rise out of poverty for many people. Just as with industrial employment, it was a reason that people moved to urban areas. These two paths, and they are probably the principal paths, to rise out of urban poverty. People came to urban areas to follow those paths, and while everyone was not successful, there was enough success to bring truth to this ethos of urban opportunity. Today, the industrial job is greatly diminished. It certainly is in our city, and in some places it's long gone. The other, broadly available, quality urban public education is failing. Without these pathways out, many in urban poverty find themselves trapped for multiple generations, and the poverty becomes more concentrated. Now, I understand that this is too simplistic an analysis of concentrated urban poverty, and many people rise above it. Nonetheless, the lack of employment opportunities for people with limited skills and concentrated poverty is real. I also understand that our urban schools, particularly the Rochester City schools that I'm familiar with, are filled with hardworking people, students, and teachers who succeed despite the burdens of poverty. Nonetheless, the overall performance has been poor for some time, and it's poor today. These two phenomena that I have identified are surely related. As the opportunities for unskilled employment diminished, this had an impact on the stability of families and on the neighborhoods, and it placed a greater burden on the schools. These changes placed a premium on education and skills at the very time that our urban public education systems were failing. It is on that second phenomenon, urban public education, that I'd like to focus. One of the pleasures of being mayor is that you get to go into primary school classrooms around the city, or sometimes those classes come to visit me in City Hall. The children are enthusiastic and full of wonder, just like children anywhere. Yet as I look into their faces, I realize that the statistics tell me that half will not make it through high school. How could this have come to be? How could we be failing them so badly? How did we fail to see the changed circumstances of these children? Despite the considerable sums of money, why do our urban schools struggle so to respond to the needs of these children? The answers to these questions are hotly debated. In an environment that is often dominated by adult egos and a search for blame that absolves responsibility. Even with good intentions, they are difficult to answer. Two of the most common explanations are that poor children are hard to educate and their parents are not equipped to provide the support that's necessary for them to succeed. There's truth in both of these statements, but that cannot absolve us of the responsibility to educate these children. They may be explanations, but they cannot be excuses. So often they are part of these circular conversations we have on this subject. The children are poor, their parents are inadequate, so the blame lies elsewhere. Round and round the conversation goes with the same results. Generations of children are poorly prepared for the world they will face. The burden on society grows, and the moral failure continues. I do not mean to attribute this failure to some particular group or even some particular institution. For instance, surely the answer does not lie exclusively with the school system. Nonetheless, we somehow fail to recognize for a very long time the changes in our society that were caused by the loss of industrial employment and the need for our public school system to adapt. Did we look into the faces of the children then, as I've had the opportunity to do lately, and say to ourselves, how could we be failing them so badly? I cannot help but believe that somewhere along the path that created the modern urban school systems, there were many opportunities for informed civic engagement, and more than a few of these opportunities were lost. Be that as it may, the situation that is presented to us today is replete with opportunities. The opportunities need not be the new curriculum that is supposed to work magic or the new building full of excellent technology. Quite frankly, it's more likely to be the hard day-to-day work of the informed, engaged citizen. The inability to achieve the perfect does not excuse us from the obligation to achieve the better. My discussion of urban education here is meant as an example, not a mandate for each of you. There are many opportunities for engaged citizens, and you will find your opportunity, and you may find your opportunity some other way. It may be in your profession, or in your broader life, or hopefully in both. My message, my expectation is that you will use your education to find that opportunity, and you will seize it. We are blessed in this country where we can seize such opportunities, not without hard work, not without disappointment, not without perseverance. But the opportunities are there for us to seize. And a blessing it truly is. A blessing it truly is. The burden that I described earlier is in truth the best chance that I think you will have for a life that has joy and fulfillment, for a passion for life that carries you through the hard work and disappointment and allows you to persevere. When the opportunity comes, and it surely will, yes, it surely will come to you, seize it. Do not find yourself looking back, as we must do today with urban education, and asking ourselves, how could this have happened? You are doubly blessed as you receive your degree today. You will be among the fortunate, the chosen, as I have said and as others have said. You have been prepared to seize the opportunity. And you've received your degree from a place, Nazareth College, that intends this good fortune to mean more than how it means to you personally. You are expected to be informed and actively engaged citizens who can make a difference in local and global communities. Making a difference may be glamorous or plain, revolutionary or routine, broad in scope or individually focused, a career or a lifestyle. But always as an informed and actively engaged citizen in a community that exists in a context that is greater than yourself, in a community that exists in a context that is greater than yourself. Congratulations on your accomplishments that will be recognized today, on your good fortune, and on the citizenship that you will bring to your community, wherever that may be. And now, this guy will sit down and be quiet, and you can get your hands on that diploma. Thank you for your patience.